and Sneak King against Pocket Bike Racers. Some of the games we look at in Reviews on the Run are intended for a mature audience. Please pay attention to each game's ESRB rating. All right, the first game we're talking about today is based on a film that lasted in the theaters, I think about a weekend, maybe one day, actually.
Is it out yet?
No, it came and went.
Oh.
It's called Eragon, and it's based on a book series that's very fantastical. It's kind of set in...
Fantastical,
There's a word you don't drop every day.
Is it fantastical?
It's fantastical, fantasy, adventure, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars-esque.
Right, fantastical.
Yes. It's developed by Stormfront Studios.
What happened there, guys?
Who brought us The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Which was an amazing game.
It really was. Groundbreaking for its time.
I can't believe the same... It's like, just change the graphics and give me another Lord of the Rings game with dragons.
I think Stormfront dipped into the well a little bit too much, you know, like, because then EA carried on with the Return of the King, and then Stormfront did that Dungeons and Dragons game, and so now we've played this kind of, you know, kind of linear action-adventure game that you can play multiplayer, and you see all the action in the background.
But the biggest problem in this game is the fact that you cannot control the camera angles. Now, in the previous Lord of the Rings games, it was okay because it seemed like they must have spent more time on making it perfect and smooth. In this game, though, it's a problem. A lot of times the camera seems to be too far back.
Yeah.
There's invisible walls all over the place.
I will destroy you!
I think another part of the problem, too, is that we looked at this game on the Xbox 360, but it's also out there for the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. It's like on every console, pretty much. Not PlayStation 3 or Wii, but it really felt like dated game design. It felt like something that was acceptable in the previous generation, but on the Xbox 360, even though it's, you know, higher resolution, it's a little bit nicer looking, and some of the special effects are pretty good. It's just, it's not good enough.
I thought the intro level in the forest looked
liked
pretty.
all that stuff.
That was cool, but
the cutscenes are great.
But you could see where that's where they put all their time and energy was in the first level. Then they must have ran out of budget or something because the rest of the game doesn't look as good as that first level. I thought, you know.
Yeah, it's true. But I did like the kind of graphic novel kind of effects that they had.
I did, and I'll tell you why. Because I wanted to see. I haven't seen the movie. I heard it wasn't that great.
You wanted them to do the Lord of the Rings cutscene thing where they use movie footage and go into the...
And then go into that.
I think they wanted to go somewhere different.
Or at least show me some images of the movie, because I did see the trailer and I thought it was kind of interesting and that I might like to go see this film, but there's none of that in the game. But the worst part about it is that because there's none of that either, I really felt a lack of storytelling throughout the whole thing.
And it doesn't serve its purpose as kind of a tool to make you want to go see the film either, because the experience overall is so mediocre and warmed over. I mean, it just feels like such a copycat.
But that time has long passed, and the ruthless Galvatorix now rules the land.
Some of the magic stuff is kind of cool, where you have to try to figure out, you know, how to use the magic to get above certain places.
Little psyops action in there.
A little bit of that.
Yep.
I like some of the finishing moves that when you actually get a guy and you can slit throats.
Not as good as Lord of the Rings, though.
Not as good as Lord of the Rings. But the thing that I liked actually was the bow and arrow you could actually use and pinpoint.
Yep.
And it's always fun.
And the longer you press the button down, the more accurate it gets.
The more accurate it is. And I just always find it fun to stick people in the eye.
What are you going to give Eragon?
I'm giving it a 6.
I'm going to give it a 5.5.
On the positive side, we like the use of magic. Some of the game design is kind of creative. And you can stick a guy in the eye with an arrow. Always good times.
On the negative side, there are invisible walls everywhere. The fixed camera angle presents all kinds of problems. But worst of all, Stormfront's Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers was so much better than this, and that one came out a long time ago. Hey, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, and I gotta say, I've been having some problems. Don't worry, I'm not gonna jump. Not that bad. But it's not as great as I wanted it to be. I'm such a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid 3, I wanted to just carry over in that amazing experience, and it's a little disjointed. There's a lot of features. You got some cool online modes. You can actually get on and play deathmatch and capture the flag and all that stuff. It's the single-player game that's kind of leaving me flat. And the reason why is because for most of the game, all you're doing is collecting lots of allies and basically having to manage them and put them in all kinds of different places and make some of them spies and some of them medics. And, you know, it all sounds very cool, and it's definitely deep and very complex and everything. It's just not that much fun. I mean, it's not a bad game. It's just not the Metal Gear I wanted. But because it has so many features, it's hard not to be excited about the value in this game, so I'm a little torn. I'm going to give Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops 7.5 out of 10. All right, stick around. Things might not be getting any better when we come back to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire.
Gundam!
Hey, welcome back. We found our way to this very relaxing cabana because we got to sit down for this one. It's Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire for the PlayStation 3, developed by Namco Bandai or Bandai Namco. I can never tell. What did you think of Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire?
Easily the very worst game so far on the PlayStation 3.
Terrible.
Hands down.
Yes.
No, I mean, this
Agreed.
is embarrassing. Sony, if Sony's going to try to get $600 from people, they need to not even allow these games to come out on their system because this is embarrassing.
So you liked it?
I hated it.
Okay, no. So this is what we've been saying with Xbox 360
and
as well.
And you love big mech monsters.
I love the big robots.
And you don't even like it.
This has got to be the worst and most disappointing big robot experience I've ever had. They screwed up on the frame rate. They screwed up with the special effects and
special effects?
Well, like weapon effects and stuff like that.
Barely.
The lightsaber things look terrible. The laser swords, whatever they call them. The buildings
angles
don't fall down properly. The camera angles, the invisible walls.
How about
fog,
the crappy graphics?
The fog everywhere. I know everything's so bland and boring. Doesn't matter if you're in the mountains or in the desert. I've seen better looking stuff on the PSP environmentally. I'm talking. Now, the only thing that I liked about this game, and we might as well say the one okay thing about it, is the look of the mechs themselves. Like when they're when the camera pans around them and you can kind of see what they look like. They've got a pretty cool detail, the metallic kind of.
But you know what?
Definition.
They're all gray or brown.
No, they got colors on them, and what I like is that they have some, war-worn kind of look to them.
To me, the best part was that you can like shoot the guy's arms off.
That too. That's all right.
So you have these guys walking around with no arms. And
that's one of the cool things about the giant mech games is that they do have pieces of their arms and their legs flying off, and they can still deal with things.
I was bored. To get a little more specific too, I mean, even the collision detection is crap.
You don't know if you're hitting the guy with the sword half the time,
now they do have a targeting system, like you could hit the button and it kind of targets in.
You can zoom in,
but the camera controls,
dude,
and it just jitters around constantly.
Absolutely, I was trying to find the enemies all the time, and it just never felt fluid. And the frame rate is atrocious.
And the frame rate,
when you get a few different mechs on screen or a few different enemies on there, it absolutely crawls, man.
And it depends on
PlayStation 3.
I know.
What is up with that? That's unbelievable.
And it's not like they're pushing amazing graphics either.
No.
They're really crappy graphics.
And multiplayer is split screen.
Yeah,
and the frame rate gets even worse. Oh, it's so horrible.
No online play.
No online play. You know what?
It was painful.
I christened this the PlayStation 3's Bomberman Act Zero.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right.
It is the worst game to come out on the system. It's embarrassing.
It's dog awful.
Oh, my God.
I'm giving it a 1.
1.5 for me. On the positive side, I like chopping off the other robot's arms. Some of the detail on the mechs is almost acceptable, and it is kind of fun to destroy big buildings.
On the negative side, the level of destruction in the environment is just so unsatisfying. What's up with the fog everywhere on every level? The frame rate's horrible, the collision detection has tons of problems, the camera controls are awful, multiplayer sucks. Basically, this is the biggest insult to giant mech fans like myself the world has ever seen. Congratulations, Bandai Namco.
Or Namco Bandai.
All right, stick around when we come back. It's 2D action on the Wii. It's Metal Slug Anthology, right after this. Hey, longtime viewers of Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run probably remember how big of a fan I was of Diddy Kong Racing for the N64. Well, it's back on the DS. It's Diddy Kong Racing DS What an imaginative title. What's great about this game is the diversity in the kart racing mechanics, because it's not just the karts. You also get some cool little plane action, and you get some hovercraft time as well. And that's nice. It's a nice kind of diversity there. They also switch to first-person mode and let you kind of control everything with the use of the stylus, and you have to pop balloons and collect coins. There is a lot of repetition because you have to go past levels over and over and over again to try to unlock everything before you get access to the bosses and all that stuff. But I didn't mind that too much because the graphics are great, the sounds are great, the music's very catchy. This is a solid kart racing game. I don't think it's quite as sharp and defined and cool and original as the original Diddy Kong Racing was when I played it on the N64, but I still had a great time. I'm giving Diddy Kong Racing DS 8.5 out of 10. Hey, we return. We're talking now about Metal Slug Anthology for the Wii. This is from SNK, and it's the old Metal Slug arcade game. You've never been a Metal Slug fan, have you?
Not so much. I'm a Contra fan.
You like the more
like
hardcore, more realistic, kind of gritty type of action stuff.
I don't know if I'd call it Contra realistic, but, you know.
They try to be. They take themselves more seriously.
It's not overly cartoony.
Yes, Metal Slug has been sort of the cartoon version of something like a Contra.
Right.
And I've always really enjoyed Metal Slug. I always thought the sense of humor was really cool. And the controls and the combat and the difficulty. It's a very challenging series. Every single one of the games has been difficult, but I've loved the kind of sheer insanity and variety that you get. Gameplay from Metal Slug 1 through 6, however, isn't all that different. I mean, they changed some of the locations.
It's an understatement.
They changed some of the power-ups and things that you can collect. You get new characters along the way.
You don't really see the graphical history.
No.
As you progress through the series, do you?
No, I mean, it's not like looking at the Mega Man games and seeing how much those have kind of changed over the years. Even
that's pushing it.
But Metal Slug really hasn't changed all that much. Metal Slug 6, though...
It's the first time it's appeared on a console.
That's right, and it's in this anthology on the Wii, and it does look different. You know what? I would say that it's a bit much. You know, you play through all 6 of these things, and it's like, okay, I get it. I get the Metal Slug deal. Yeah. And I almost feel like there are so many cool anthology collections and discs right now, like with the Sega Genesis collection and EA Replay on the PSP and Capcom and Namco. Everybody's made these amazing collections of tons of games, and these 6 or 7, because one of them's they have like a remix version of one of the Metal Slugs. It would have been awesome to have these on a bigger SNK deal with lots of King of the Fighters and Baseball All-Stars and all kinds of cool old SNK games on one big disc that has like 40 different games.
It is interesting, though, that you can save anywhere in the game, so I thought that was cool. I felt after playing for a couple hours, you know, the A and B button are too close together.
Yeah, it's 1 and 2 now.
And it's very 1 and 2 button. And this crosshair system
the
doesn't work.
Well, it hurts your hand. I mean, it's not really shaped for a long time, you know, competitive play, you know, action adventure type play that you're going to be in there for a long time with. It's kind of like short bursts of arcadey type fun. And I did think it was a little bit weird too that there was so much loading within the game too. Yeah. I mean, it's loading in between these pretty simplistic stages. What are you going to give Metal Slug Anthology for the Wii?
I'm giving it a 4.5.
Wow, now I'm giving Metal Slug Anthology a 7.5 out of 10. On the positive side, you get 7 different games in there. Metal Slug 6 has never been seen before on a console. You can save at any time during these games. And for the Metal Slug hardcores, there's lots of unlockables to collect as well.
On the negative side, the load times suck. It's hard to use the Nintendo controller with this game, and the series overall starts to get a little repetitive, especially graphically.
All right, today in Hardware, we're talking about more classic stuff. This is MadCatz Arcade Game Stick for the Xbox 360. Of course, it's designed to take advantage of Xbox Live Arcade, where you can purchase several classic old arcade games. And the thing is shaped kind of interestingly. I mean, it looks like it's going to be really cool. Mm-hmm. It has a big joystick like the old style arcade sticks. It has a better functioning D-pad than the pack-in Xbox 360 controller.
What I love is that it has a spinner.
It does have a spinner.
Now, the only games that really use that spinner is Pong and
Breakout.
Breakout would be
Tempest.
Arkanoid and Tempest.
Arkanoid, yes.
But none of those games are on
Currently,
Xbox.
But it does come with 3 games.
Getting back to the joystick.
Yeah, the joystick does come with 3 games.
You got your Frogger, which is great. Time Pilot, which is great.
Classic. Everybody should get Time Pilot.
And
Astro Pop, which is kind of...
I like that.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Tetris on steroids. But
getting back to the joystick.
The problem is the joystick.
Yeah.
I mean, why didn't they go with the old school, you know, thin thing with the knob? Because I tried to play Pac-Man and Time Pilot and all these games, and because it's so long and thin, it's really hard to use that joystick to control those games.
This is a very uncomfortable
What are you talking
review.
about?
It's uncomfortable. But a good idea, and hopefully somebody else picks up on this and makes it even better. I'm talking to you, Logitech. Are you going to recommend the MadCatz arcade game stick?
I can't under these current conditions.
I can't either. All right, stick around, because when we come back, we have a very unique versus. We're looking at the 3 Burger King games. You could only buy these at Burger King. They're going head-to-head after this. Hey, welcome back. We've got a crazy versus for you guys today. It's Burger King's games going up head-to-head. These are games you can buy for $4 with some food.
They get them in your Happy Meal.
And when the Happy Meal's the other guy.
I know.
All right, okay, so we got Big Bumpin' against Pocket Bike Racers against Sneak King, and they're 3 totally different games, so we thought we'd compare them. How do you think the graphics stack up for these 3?
Well, for me, I think the one that stands out the most is probably the racer game.
Pocket Bike Racer?
Pocket Bike Racer, because it has a lot of different variety. You know, you go
from
from
pretty crazy,
backyards and the nighttime tracks, and there's a lot of nice
parking lot
reflections and lights and things like that. Whereas for the bumper car game, they were okay too, and there's nice glossy effects and everything.
Shinier than I thought. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's kind of this, there's not a lot of variety.
Yeah, it's the same arena type environment. And then you also have the Sneak King environments, which are like neighborhoods or sawmills or city streets.
But the graphics didn't seem as polished in that one. Maybe
they're not as fun to look at.
Bigger areas, or not as fun to look at.
And you're really staring at the creepy king a lot in Sneak King.
Now, look, the weird thing is, in all 3 of these games, the menu screens is like live action video.
I thought that was cool.
Of this guy.
I gotta admit,
it was cool, and it was funny.
Cool effect.
But it was really creepy.
It was very creepy.
Especially in Sneak King.
I know, where he's looking in people's houses and stuff. Bizarre.
What is up with that?
I don't know. Your favorite in the graphics department is Pocket Bike Racers?
Is Pocket Bike Racer.
I think I'm with you.
Followed by...
Big Bumpin'.
Yeah, Big Bumpin'.
Same, and then Sneak King in 3. How do you think they stacked up in the audio department?
Oh, they all suck.
They're all about the same, I felt. You know, I mean, they had the same kinds of wacky, weird music and sound effects. Sneak King had the creeping music.
I thought my favorite one, though, was the Racer in terms of the music, because it was a lot more diversified. They had, some of them were like different 50s, rock tunes. There was some 50s stuff. There was some kind of bluesy jazz stuff in some of it as well.
Yeah, none of the music in any of the games is that particularly memorable or good, and the sound effects are kind of minimal. Yeah. I don't really have a favorite. I'm giving them a tie.
For me, it's the Racer game out there, because I did enjoy the music the most and thought it was the most diversified.
All right.
And the other 2, I give a tie to.
All right. Well, gameplay, they're all totally different.
Right.
But how do you think they stood up against each other?
Well, basically, the Big Bumper is basically a bumper car game. It reminded me a lot of that. Some of the levels in Fusion Frenzy, if you remember.
Which is Blitz Games who made Fusion Frenzy.
Oops.
And every one of these games could have been a mini game in some other bigger thing. And honestly, they could have all been downloadable, or they could have all been on one disc.
I'm surprised they don't have them available for download right now.
I know. Well, they wanted to get people into the stores. It was very shrewd. And Burger King actually made a couple $1 million off of selling these games. They did really well with this.
Sure.
So, you know, it is pretty shrewd what they've done here. And for $4, it's not too bad of a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the gameplay, though, is, you know, basically you got the bumper cars is like the levels in Fusion Frenzy, a lot of the, you know, same kind of style. And the other one, the Racer, is basically kart racing, you know, and that one was
lousy
kind
controls
of fun.
And mediocre visuals.
They're okay controls.
And Sneak King
Sneak's just plain
It's
weird.
exactly like Splinter Cell, except you're
What?
doling out hamburgers instead of slicing people's throats.
I don't know. I don't know if I put it on the same level as
No, it
Splinter
is
Cell,
not
but,
like, no.
But for me, gameplay-wise, I had the most fun with the racer game once again.
Yeah, so for me, I thought the gameplay overall, it was the best gameplay was in Pocket Bike Racers. Second place, Big Bumping, and third, Sneaking.
Right.
Absolutely. Same for you?
Same for me.
So overall, which game did you like the best?
Definitely the racer,
Pocket Bike Racer?
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
followed by Bumping and
Yep.
Sneak King last.
Sneak King last. Okay, what are you gonna get Pocket Bike Racer?
For what it is, for $4, I mean, it's hard to score these, so, you know, but I'm going to give it a 6.
6 for me as well. What about Big Bumpin'?
That gets the 5.
I'm gonna give that a 5 as well. And what are you giving Sneak King?
4.
I'm giving that one a 4 too. There you have it, 3 Burger King video games we like Pocket Bike Racer the most, followed by Big Bumpin', and then Sneak King. Today on the show, Tommy and I took a look at Eragon. You can stick bad guys in the eye with an arrow, but this game was totally outclassed by the old Lord of the Rings games. Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire. Chopping off the robot's arms is sort of fun, but this game is a total embarrassing rush job, and so far it's the worst game you can buy for the PS3. How's that? Metal Slug Anthology. There's 7 different games to play, but they do get a bit repetitive. In Versus, we looked at 3 different Burger King games. Big Bumpin', which features bumper cars and cool arenas, but the minigame vibe gets tired pretty quickly. Against Sneak King, this one is very unique, but the stealthy gameplay is not only silly, it's creepy. Against Pocket Bike Racers, this one is the closest to a full-featured kart racing game, but the controls and the weapons are pretty weak. Tommy and I both thought these games are a great idea. We like Pocket Bike Racers the best, followed by Big Bumpin', and then Sneak King. The Rogers Game of the Week is Diddy Kong Racing DS.
The new Nintendo controller.
Yeah, what do they call that?
Well, I guess.
You son of a... You still have not said we.
I'm not going to say
it's
it.
for like 10 episodes into reviewing
You know
Wii
what?
games.
It's not my problem.
I can't believe you. He hates the name.
You know,
Talking about long and hard and the knob on top.
It's got a long, hard shaft, and it's missing a knob on the top. What?